to hear your ideas. Also, remember that your ideas get recorded if you go to the idea note, which is really a wiki across available for everyone to read and add to, edit, and change, or just add ideas. A lot of people are looking at it. The leadership is looking at the wiki, and we will try to add the content of our discussions to that. But if you can keep adding your ideas to the idea note as we speak, that'd be great. But I'll stop, and I want to hear, because my job is to listen to you all. Someone start, otherwise I'll start picking. JC, you are next to me, so I'm going to pick on you to say what's on your mind.
Oh, thanks, Jaideep. I guess I'll just, can you all hear me? I guess I'll just say something that's probably rather obvious to everyone. With this opportunity, I think we should invest in young people, getting new hires, at the stage of assistant professor, and perhaps also use part of this fund, or maybe a small part of the fund, to invest in our existing pre-tenure faculty working on neuroscience as well. I'll just stop there to get things started.
So how do you envision investing when you say invest in them? I guess new hires is obvious, but existing people.
Well, what I was thinking, without giving this too much thought, is just have part. Again, we're talking about $20 to $50 million. A small part of it could perhaps be used to, invest in pre-tenure faculty. They can write a one-page application for $200,000 or something. Just the reason I say that is at least from my career, that first 5 years, probably even first 10 years, is the most productive than next 10 and probably the 10 after. So I think that's a really great opportunity to invest.
This is, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jaideep.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I just wanted to resonate to what JC was saying. I do think that I think that's a fantastic idea, and an area that we need to work on. In the one particular sense of that is that when we have faculty that are exceptional, or we have young investigators that are exceptional, that have maybe gotten their OK award or their first R01, but there isn't really a tenure track stream for them, because they may not fit into any one department clearly. So that idea of a home for neuroscientists that don't fit neatly into one department or one box is, I think, an essential element that we should try to build.
Jaideep, can I weigh in? Harry here.
Yes.
Just a thought. I do think that opportunities for joint large grants, team grants, and I think imperative for that would be to put a significant amount of money forth. I ran a program similar to that at UAB, and we made $250,000 awards to teams, and we made multiple of those over the years. And even at the current success rate, if you say 15% funding, if 1 out of 7 gets funded, the return on investment for the institution is massive. And what it does, it really brings together people. And ultimately, I think we have to remind ourselves there has to be metrics, and that metrics has to be scholarship and grant funding. And I think unique science and team science, and of course, to RAM, I would say we also as an institution then have to think about how we're going to reward team science, because our advancement within the institution is often tied to individual successes and silos us by definition. Because when I come up for tenure, it's what have you done? What are your RO1s? Where are you senior author? And we as an institution have to change that culture, where being a middle author oftentimes is maybe you are more important for a team than anyone else on that team. So just a thought.
Jill, you're a chair of a department where most people don't do what you do. So,
well, yeah, I have two perspectives. One is I'm chair of chemistry and a neuroscientist. So I do neuroscience research. That we do have, I think, an opportunity to get like more basic science people involved. And I do like the team science because I've been able to, through some of the smaller mechanisms, like get involved with people in addiction or imaging or that kind of thing, things that I don't do, but that I can add value with my techniques and my neurochemical monitoring. So I think we need to do that. But I think that there are untapped people, and this is where I'm speaking as chemistry department chair. I can't say that anybody in my department is really a drug discovery person, maybe aimed at neuroscience. Marcos Pires is here, although I don't in this section, he's one of these kind of synthetic scientists. But I think that they could be, right, because they do drug development and they do, synthetic chemistry work aimed towards these things. But we might have ways to kind of bring them in. So as I said, maybe Marcos could
so Jill,
elaborate on that or something.
Jill, how do we bring them in? Because imagine people coming up with novel discoveries on molecules. Say neuroimmunologists want to target IL-1, alpha, or beta, or TLR4 receptor. Who do I go to?
So, maybe this is an opportunity to create forums for that type of interaction, right? So that was my hope in session, was to find out, how do I connect? How is the best way to streamline what we do and interface that with others at UVA? And so if this, if this mission includes that type of activity, I think that could be a big gain for us in the chemistry department.
Yeah, because right now I actually have to say that while we have a lot of good synthetic chemists, we're missing exactly what you said, Jaideep. And actually the Cancer Center would tell you were missing it too. We're missing kind of a strong kind of drug discovery center or something where you could have your target and have somebody screen something, or that kind of thing. And so it's not just a neuroscience thing, it's kind of an overall institutional thing that we're missing.
Other thoughts? Otherwise, I'll pick Adima. What do you say? You're a newcomer to the university, relatively.
So I actually wanted to touch on what JC and what Harold said. So I do support JC's idea because, well, I'm pre-tenure, but it is in line with what, for example, what I like to see. And I wanted to say that for team science, for someone like me who's new and fresh to everything, it's risky still. And it is good to change the rules of the institutions to support that type of research for the junior professors, but at the same time, we're not dependent just on the institution for our future. The whole culture of funding in the United States would have to change for us to be recognized as independent scientists outside of our institutions when we're part of a team. Because for me as a junior person, what I need right now and in the next 5-6 years pre-tenure is to establish myself as an independent investigator. And I doubt that I would be able to do that if I'm perpetually middle author. Does that make sense?
Go ahead, Tim. Tim, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, no. So as a computational scientist, I'm very familiar with this topic. And, the whole challenge of, do you focus on some kind of innovative computational methods and get a first author paper, or do you do something that is well proven and supportive of a broader team and get a middle author paper? And I think colleagues that I've worked with internationally that have been kind of successful in this model, actually, first of all, they do have a strong kind of institutional support framework for team science. But the other thing is that they make sure that that you pair up the publications, right? So we did this with Randall Moorman in the Center for Advanced Medical Analytics. We built a whole framework for doing computational research and predictions. We published a first a paper that emphasized that, but we also published a paper that emphasized the findings. And so you don't have to just get stuck in this middle author position at all. And I think that also leads you to kind of balance the innovations in the two complementary fields of say neuroscience specific innovation and a computational innovation that may be rather applied.
Other thoughts? I'm trying to locate everyone, so if you speak up.
I have a question for Harry, actually, just as a follow-up, because I completely agree that we want to avoid silos. And since I've been here, I feel like I've seen more and more silos get constructed. So how exactly do we bring everyone under one big happy tent?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm looking to the Comprehensive Cancer Center as a model. And, you know, you've got the departments hold your tenure line, but most people in the Cancer Center, they're actually exclusively working together with having joint grants using cores of the Cancer Center in the cancer world. So you might be the one cancer researcher in the Department of Genetics or in population science or in you know, you name it, bioinformatics, and you work with these colleagues. So you actually have to build centeredness through the activities that you do. It's not a structural thing. Like if departments are structures, they're silos. So we have to ignore our sort of primary allegiance just to our department and be constrained by that, but have activities, retreats, seminar series, you know, brainstorming sessions, whatever, always being sort of a comprehensive neuroscience approach, and being cognizant that, you know, that comprehensiveness really spans from philosophy all the way to neurosurgery. And I don't think it's as much as it's as much building a building and create. Everybody talks about a building. You know, you will never have everybody in a building. And again, I would guess that over half of the cancer world at UVA lives outside the Cancer Center building. You know, and it's not a problem. So we have to get ourselves removed from, you know, having these infrastructural limitations, because, you know, the world's our oyster if we make it such. We have to build a virtual tent, so to speak.
Other thoughts? Otherwise, Dr. Zhang, you bring another perspective to this. And you come from outside, so I want to hear from you.
Well, sorry, Jaideep, I just joined the meeting. I was in another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any others? Otherwise, I'll pick on people. To Dr. Cliff.
So, I mean, I guess I'm still a little unsure. You know, I don't want to say what the point is, but we know what is, you know, the availability here and the plans moving forward. But I mean, the investment in new investigators or young investigators was brought up. And I would say, you know, as someone who's still an assistant professor, the major challenges is not just funding, the major challenges is people to do the work and people who have the expertise. And, you know, where we didn't have the expertise, we had core facilities to use. One example being the stem cell core facility, and that is now closed. And, you know, having the strong core facilities also helps us on, you know, getting funding. And it means that resources, you know, and expertise are available to multiple labs. So I don't want to kind of neglect, or, you know, I want to at least put it out there for discussion that, you know, these facilities are still needed. And I guess it might be part of the aging discussion, you know, creating aged neurons. And that's what we were doing with the core facility, and we can't do anymore. And then, you know, UNC just opened a new core facility specifically to make viral vectors that target to the nervous system. And this is something, you know, multiple people would benefit from. And it's, you know, something I just got dinged for on a grant application because, you know, we've not shown yet we can do it. So I think core facilities could be part of the discussion if people are open to it as well, because it helps especially young investigators who we can't have every expertise in the lab, and I can't even hire a technician right now. I can't find anyone. So, you know, if that could be part of the discussion, I think that would be good.
The thoughts. So we've talked about a lot of tactics, and we need core facilities. We need to hire junior faculty. We need to enhance collaboration. What are the big ideas that would bring the community together besides the desire to work together? As you know, we tend to work together if we have a common shared goal. You know, create a Alzheimer's center or create a program project. Could you all throw out ideas that would rally the troops around a particular specific idea? Anyone? Jessica.
You know, I think one of the things that we haven't extensively invested in to bring together across grounds is human neuroscience. I know there's another session going on right now. I'm not a human neuroscientist, but I actively collaborate with many of them. I think it could be really a launching point where we can expand. So if we can create a centralized location where human neuroscience can be easily done, meaning we have the equipment and the resources all seated in the same place. We have the ability to bring in people from infancy to older age, and we can all do that in a centralized environment. That will start something, because what will happen is we can actually expand both ways from there, right? So we can look into animal science that supports that. We can look into translational science that supports that. And I think one of the things that we need to think about is how we seed these types of things, where we can all bring, like Harry said, like JC said, like Adam said, all of us together to work together towards a common goal. It would even include being able to bring together core centralized locations for stem cell research that would then support the kind of research that we're trying to do. I just think that, you know, one of the major cogs needs to be about taking what our strengths are already on grounds and bringing them together. Human neuroscience might be a really good way for us to start.
Jessica, this is Kevin. Yeah, I completely agree with you, you know, for obvious reasons, but one might ask why I'm not in the brain imaging breakout. You know, it's sort of because I figured we'd end up just talking more about, you know, upgrading a scanner or focused ultrasound. And I wanted to talk more about, you know, much more broadly human neuroscience and how to bring all of that together and make it, instead of a data collection site, you know, an idea generating place. And I can think of two experiences I've had, you know, watching Duke build, you know, preeminence in cognitive neuroscience. They were already preeminent in neuroscience, and then they kind of built together, made a decision, you know, at the level of the provost that they were going to be a leader in that, and they became one. And then, you know, just seeing Yale just via 150.
Evan, I'll have to shorten you because there are a couple of people wanting to add to that, but briefly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me just highlight Yale just announced $150 million investment in human neuroscience. So some of your institutions are.
And by the way, Megan Barnett, who's joined us, was the strategic planner for that. So she is right here. So you have an ally in there. She comes from Yale. Alex and then Edema.
Okay, well, when I in the two previous places I worked at Yale or at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, we always have cross-campus neuroscientists annual retreat kind of see puts people together. I know in the past year we had COVID, but I just feel that if we can some kind of, for example, directory, who are our community, And then actually maybe with specific question we want to ask the people, okay, like what we do, what expertise we have, maybe even ask people to make a 3 or 4 5-minute presentation of what we do. And so this way that even before the, let me see, the annual retreat, we can try to know what other people are doing. And then we should try to have kind of annual retreat kind of work, or at least like, or monthly the get together. So invite the faculty to talk about their research.
All right. Arima?
Thanks, Jaideep. I wanted to a little bit continue on what Jess started saying. As someone who is just beginning to tap into collaborations with human neuroscientists, I do think that that's a big strength of UVA. One thing that we do have is human neuroscientists and neuroscientists that study the same things in animal models. And because having in mind the whole strategic plan of the National Institute for Mental Health and other ones that are kind of digging deep and supporting the mechanistic insights, I think this is a big thing for us. We can approach the same problems from the human side and from the animal side and really kind of bring them together and build on this. And neonatal research. Yes, I support all those neonatal issues. I think we have good centers for the NICU. As someone who is kind of trying to get into that field, there are a lot of things that are completely unexplored, particularly in animal models. And I think it's not just that it's low-hanging fruit. No one has done it, and we have the expertise.
Yeah, and Arima, the medical center is going through its strategic plan, and I'm part of their research planning thing. And those ideas that you all brought up, I want to make sure that the medical center also joins in and does the human invests in making sure that you all have access to patients. But go on, other thoughts, other ideas? I think JC had his hand up, and then Tim.
Right. So you are asking what other ideas we can have to bring people, bring the whole community together. Yeah, I think in addition to the specific areas that people have mentioned, maybe we can also think about our education aspects of things. Right. We have this NGP, the graduate program, which has been very successful in bringing people together. And as many of you know, we have this new Center in Fundamental Neuroscience, new program in the college. A major purpose of that is to be in charge of the neuroscience major and its expansion. So that has, I think, really rallied people on the college side to come together, or the neuroscientists in the college side to come together to interact a lot more than we used to.
Tim, you had your hand up.
Yes. So I just want to go back to what was said earlier about project focus, because as you're leading the development of this Alzheimer's Center, and I know Kevin is very focused on autism and so forth, and I just think actually those kinds of efforts, I think we ought to sort of think about actually focal areas that like that, especially disease focused, that can bridge everybody. And I think those are very important. And I think you can cut off these slices of education, support for junior faculty, all these other aspects sort of meld into that core facility and everything. But if you have a driver as a common theme, I think very important.
Right. Any other thoughts? We have less than a minute remaining. I want to make sure that anyone who had thoughts and wanted to share, please do so now. No other ideas?
I don't want to directly contradict him, but I actually feel that an emphasis on health is important. I think we're in neuroscience so defined by diseases, and I do think that we should include health. So, for example, everybody wants an AD research center. I want to study aging, healthy aging, and juxtapose it to unhealthy aging. So I think it rings better with the community, and it ultimately is what we're all most concerned about. And I know, Tim, you probably didn't imply to not want to study health, but you emphasized the disease context. So I'm just going to throw that in.
No, I think that's actually very important, and thank you for balancing what I said. What I'm saying is that that you need these focal areas, right?